City Power dealing with a major backlog of people whose power has not been returned, and the City of Joburg planning to relocate some of those families situated alongside the banks. We now speak to MMC, member of the Mayoral Council, Human Settlements in the City of Joburg, Councillor Mlungisi Mabaso. Councillor, thank you for being with us. Firstly, that cry for an area of disaster to be declared, any plans like that on the cards right now?
Well, thank you very much. The executive mayor has not pronounced herself on that. And as the leadership of the city, we've been on the ground in different areas in part of Johannesburg. So we had not had an opportunity to convene as the mayoral committee to engage on the way forward and also to look at the possibilities of declaring the state of disaster in those particular areas. So we will wait for the executive mayor to convene us so that we deliberate further on the way forward and responses on some of the areas that we have not been able to reach at this stage.
All right, we saw that filling station in that earlier insert where the water was waist deep, devastating for that business. It's been devastating for people in Soweto and other parts. What did you see? How bad was the situation where you went?
Well, my focus mostly was on the informal settlements and the hostel in Soweto. We were able to assist those families that were affected, like in Cape Town. We have been able to peg the stands. As I'm talking to you, even today the contractor was on site where we are permanently relocating those that are situated along the river bank there. At Nanspeed Hostel, we were able to move some of the families out of the flat line. We have placed them to a safe space, but tomorrow we will be visiting those areas with the Minister for Human Settlements, because the interventions from the national government will also be required so that they make some of the funds available for us for the construction of temporary residential areas. In Protea South, I was there yesterday with the ward councillor and other councillors from other political parties. We have seen the extent of the damage, but there is a plan as well there to relocate those families. The site was identified long time ago because for us the disaster was imminent, looking at how people have been settling in that particular area. So we are in a process of installing infrastructure into that particular site, and we will be starting the process of permanent relocation. But the predicament that we have is that our permanent solution preclude the illegal immigrants that are residing along these flood lines and river banks. And yesterday I called the executive mayor seeking for her intervention to engage with the Minister for Home Affairs so that they are able to deal with the illegal foreign nationals that are situated there, because in terms of the law, we are not mandated to deal with them, and we don't know how we're going to deal with a situation where we are moving people out of these dangerous areas, but they will be remaining and they will be continuously becoming the victims of the floods. So the interventions of the mayor that we had requested, and we are hoping that the Minister for Home Affairs will come up on board to assist us so that you are able to relocate everyone that is along these flood lines and river banks.
All right, so right now they are being left in a very precarious situation along the river banks. We'd like to follow up on that. But let's look at one area, Kliptown. You said there are plans and some families have already been moved. And I understand that those plans have been in place for a while. This has been an ongoing project. So tell me exactly how many people are still along the river, how many people have moved, and in what structures are they in right now?
Well, we started the program called the Relocating, which is part of the informal settlements upgrading program, and we had moved more than 700 prior to this disaster. But the stands that we had pegged currently, it's for those that are eligible to benefit in the program, but they were still, residing there because the program has not been completed. So those that are in a dangerous area, that's the one that we prioritize. But the program for the reblocking and the upgrading of the informal settlements is still ongoing, and the program for the construction of permanent houses in a form of a turnkey development is still ongoing. So there is a development that is in place there. There is a program that we are currently implementing, but we had to immediately respond to these ones because they were situated in a very dangerous area and we had to save lives. But while we are continuing with the implementation of the upgrading of that particular informal settlement.
Okay, so are they in temporary shelter for now? Is that what you're saying? The people who were moved,
it's temporary shelters because UISP program, it's provision of stands. In a way, but we are assisting with the temporal structures because we understand that they've lost everything during these disasters. But the informal settlement upgrading program, it's where we are giving people permanent service stands within the informal settlements.
And you said that 700 people had been moved before this disaster. How many people have not been moved that should be moved?
Well, along the flight lines, I might not have the exact number, but those that were at the dangerous zone were able to move them, which were 44, but we still have 800 more stands that we are still going to pack. So as I've alluded earlier on, that the program is still ongoing. So there are 800 more people that are also eligible to benefit in the process.
All right, so about half have been moved. And how long has the program been going on for?
Well, this program started earlier this year, and we were dealing with the congestion in the area, but at the same time, we also had to deal with the access roads. So the program has started earlier this year, and the completion is also anticipated around February next year, and that's when we'll then commence with the construction of permanent houses.
Yeah, I guess it could be argued if you move quicker, then these people wouldn't have been in danger when the rain came down. And now you say that the ones who are really in danger have been given some sort of temporary shelter. Are they being fed? What is the situation? What are their living conditions like? And how long can this go on for? Because the Weather Service is saying that more severe thunderstorms are on the way.
Well, the reality is that with Cape Town, we are not anticipating more disasters with the interventions that we have put in. But because tomorrow we'll also be on the ground, we will also do our own assessment as well. But the interventions that we have put there, in fact, they are not temporary solutions. They are permanent solutions. And the reason for us having to expedite the processes of picking the stand was for us to permanently relocate those families that are there. But there are a lot of contributing factors, in fact, that had led to a minor delays in the completion of the project. And one of those is because there are people who are residing in the old farmhouses, and they were saying to us, if you relocate us, giving us permanent stands, what's going to happen with our structures? So those engagements, in a way, slightly delay the implementation of this program. But now, because of the disaster, they agreed that we relocate them. Hence, we started that process of relocating them. But we are anticipating that come the heavy rains, we are not going to experience, these challenges again at Cape Town, except for those that are illegal immigrants, because we will move them to a temporary residential areas. But at the end of the day, community development, churches and NGOs will also require their spaces for their activities. And that will also force us to allow them to go back, of which is going to be very difficult because of having to go back into those areas, dangerous areas. It might create more disasters in the future. Hence, we are calling on for Department of Home Affairs to come out and really assist us so that they are able to deal with illegal immigrants, because they are the only ones, in fact, that are mandated to do that. The policies, preclude them, and we do not know how then we're going to assist them unless Home Affairs come on board and assist us, so that at least we are able to give them a permanent solution, so that they do not become the victim of the future disaster that might occur.
Very quickly, Councillor, final question. My whole career, I've been looking at people living along river banks, even though they know it's so dangerous. Why do they still keep building? Is it just a sign of desperation for housing?
Well, there are lots of contributing factors. You will remember that in the informal settlements, there are illegal landlords that are operating illegal selling of stands, and there are also shack farming. There are invasions that happens there. And in most of the areas, for example, like in your Alexandra, there was a program even previously, before I came in as the MMC, where people that were residing along riverbanks and flood line were relocated, and all those spaces was cleared at the time. But if you go back there today, you will find that there are more people that have erected these temporal structures there, and they are residing there, knowing very well that should anything happen, they will be the first ones to be the victim. But there are also educations that are going on through Department of EMS, where we are educating people about disaster, where we always ask our people to be vigilant and cautious. But people tend, to turn a blind eye and not listen to the, advices that we all get from our colleagues from disaster management, and they continue to settle in these areas, which becomes a problem, during raining season, because they are the first ones to become victims of disasters and floods, at all times.
All right, thank you for your time. That was MMC Human Settlements in the City of Joburg, Councillor Mlungisi Mabaso.